Hey, what is up, Ram Fam? And today I wanted to talk to you guys about mix set builds. Now, firstly, I want to apologize for the lack of YouTube videos. I am still really bad at doing this, but we are getting there with slow and steady progress. This is going to be one of the first of many videos to come, hopefully, especially since we'll be having a little bit less stream time next week. So we'll be focusing on putting out a lot of videos, hopefully. But let's get right into it, though. I'm going to talk about mix sets and how they're still really a viable option when it comes to Monster Hunter World for if you don't want to use Master's Touch. I would probably rank mix sets above all of the weird sets you can make, like 7 agitator builds and like 5 Max Might builds and stuff like that. I would rank mix sets well above that. But the thing is with mix sets is that they only really work with a handful of weapons. And by that, I mean specifically Nergigante weapons. Nergigante weapons because they have absurd amounts of sharpness and kinda gold rat. Do we have any Nergigante weapons here? Um, I have them on console though. I have them on console. I'm not prepared for this, as you can see. But oh, here's one. You can see they have an absurd amount of sharpness. So if a weapon has an absurd amount of sharpness, you don't need Master's Touch. You're just wasting your armor slots essentially, because some Master's Touch gear is has a handful of like useless skills like blast if you're not using a blast weapon, or latent power, which even though will go off usually no matter what, like having a level or two of it isn't going to be really that beneficial as to where, like, compared to fine tuning your build exactly to your liking, you know. So with Master's Touch, Nergigante weapons available at MR 100 plus, and to an extent Gold Wrath weapons, I'd probably only recommend the longsword and switch axe, depending on how good you are at focusing on weak points to make sure. Well, what am I even talking about? You don't have Master's Touch. It doesn't matter what you had. You don't have Master's Touch. But they do have large chunks. They do have large chunks of white sharpness that can last a decent amount of time. I can show you right now. They do have large amounts of white sharpness. So, well, that's not it. Oh, where are we? It's been a while, honestly, since I've tried to use a mix set build with um with a non-Master's Touch weapon. And it can work out, honestly, it can. I probably still recommend Nergigante weapons, but it can work with a handful of other weapons, especially if you're doing. It's always easier. Tigrex is another option, but I wouldn't use Tigrex weapons like past main story. You can, especially for like greatsword and hammer builds, especially because there's like a handful of hammers and greatswords that have actually a large chunk of sharpness that would be pretty easy to maintain without Master's Touch. So those would be like your options. Unfortunately, like most of the good weapons in the game have like slivers of purple that you want to maintain, and so that's why Master's Touch is so viable. Like if you want to use this cool looking thing, it looks like you'd want to put 5 handicraft at least, possibly, well, maybe just four or five handicraft, and Master's Touch if you want to maintain any purple sharpness on a large amount of these weapons, honestly. So that's why Master's Touch is so popular. But mix sets, like I said, are an option, and I'm going to show you exactly what the best mix set builds are. And I say best in quotation marks because, there are probably better builds out there. Maybe not. But the way I put these builds together makes them pretty damn optimal. They will be usable with about every weapon. Well, not every weapon. These builds specifically will be catered towards longsword, hammer, sword and shield, switch axe, Insect Glaive, maybe Dual Blades if you really want. Yeah, those are the weapons I recommend for these builds. I'll have specific builds for Greatsword, Hammer, and Greatsword, Hammer, and Charge Blade, Lance. Oh, Greatsword, Lance, and Charge Blade. I'll have specific videos for those, like, eventually. Probably not Lance, because I suck with Lance, but yeah. But let's get right into it. Let's start with the first build here. This build right here, is probably the go-to build that I could come up with. And basically, it is a pure mix set. But the nice thing about this mix set is you also have two-piece Nergigante. So what you could theoretically do is you could augment health on your weapon. You augment health on your weapon, and you'll have the set bonus from two-piece Nergigante, and it stacks. It stacks, and so you have double healing from your weapon, which is pretty neat. Um, this build is only possible though at 100 plus MR, and that's honestly where I would recommend mix sets is 100 plus MR, because Nergigante weapons are the most comfy for mix sets, and as far as the armor, the Nergigante pieces are probably the best. Armor pieces. One of some of the best armor pieces for mix sets as well. In the event that, like, say you don't have, in the event that you don't have something like Tenderizer Vitality or Crit Boost Vitality, something like that, you can just, like, mix around. You can just mix around some decos. Well, not with this build specifically, actually. With the next build, though, you can. With the next build. Next build here is a slight variation of it. Instead of using the Nergigante coil, you're using the Guild Palace coil, which you will have to do arenas for. But you also end up freeing a level 1 slot, so in the case that you don't have something like a crit boost or weakness exploit vitality, you actually end up getting an extra level 1 slot, so you can pretty much just slot in that extra health if you need it. But all of these builds, for the most part, will be able to get 7 attack, 7 crit eye, 5 agitator, 3 crit boost, 3 weakness exploit, and 3 peak performance, which is pretty much all the DPS you can literally fit in a build. Okay. This here, and this is how I justify stalling and delaying this video, is including the Rajang helmet, because the Rajang helmet is actually a carbon copy of the Black Veil helmet. It's a carbon copy, so people always say, like, oh, this helmet, it's the best helmet in the game. It's like, it's literally a carbon copy of the Black Veil helmet, because if you look at it, I'm going to show you. Like, they both have a level 4 slot and a level 1 slot, and the only difference is the Rajang helmet has 2 weakness exploit, the Black Veil, 2 performance. So, like, the only reason why you would really use the Rajang helmet or the peak performance one is that it allows you a little more flexibility, because if you wanted to make this build a Switch Axe or an Insect Glaive build, all you would literally have to do is just swap out peak performance for power prolonger, and bam, you have an Insect Glaive build or a Switch Axe build, as shown here. Basically, this mix set build works for everything, and if you want to turn it into an Insect Glaive or a Switch Axe build, you literally just swap out peak performance and slot in power prolonger, and bam, you have your Insect Glaive or Switch Axe build. And they're both really good still. They're both the Insect Glaive and Switch Axe, and Nergigante weapons in general are really good, even though they are non-elemental. Even though they are technically elemental weapons, I mean. They're still really good. High raw. Lots of wide sharpness. You will be hard-pressed to ever hit blue sharpness with these weapons unless you are just refusing to sharpen. If you don't sharpen during the entire hunt, you'll probably hit blue sharpness with most weapons. But as long as you just sharpen in between zones, you'll be fine. But these are the main builds. These are the main builds you want to focus on. but I wanted to make an effort to make a handful of other builds that you can kind of make. Like I said, you can use the Gold Wrath weapons. It's been a while since I used Mixed Gold Wrath. I wouldn't recommend it that much, but if you're not MR 100 yet, this build has a Nergante of braces or arms, but as you can see, you can make this build even if you wanted to use the Gold Wrath one and you were able to maintain its sharpness. You can, and you'll still pretty much have the same build, pretty much. And this is also using completely different pieces. I'm using the Fulgur helmet just mostly for fun because the Fulgur helmet looks really cool. It's basically I call the Fulgur Antonet helmet hair meta. I call it hair meta. Oh, I didn't even save it here. Let me find it. Let's see. Where is this? This one? Might be this one. No. Oh wait, I'm going the wrong way. It is... Where's my hair meta build? No, that's not it. Oh, here it is. This is what I like to call hair meta. I actually have this title in my Discord as hair meta, I think, or fashion hair or something. I don't know. But either way, that's the only reason I made this build was just because of the hair. It looks nice. I like it. But this build, it's just another variation of like how you can make a mix set and like how like just putting random pieces together, you still pretty much end up with the same skills. So, this build right here though. Oh, is it this build? Okay, this build is. That's not the build. Hold on. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Here it is. Apparently, I didn't save it. I didn't save it correctly. Don't make fun of me. I'm totally unprepared. Don't make fun of me. No. This build here. This build here is an example of... This is the only mix that I could really come up with that was before MR100. Basically an MR70. And MR70 plus. MR70 plus mix set. That it's lacking in a couple areas, sadly. But if you wanted to be a hipster and still use a mix set before MR100, you could. It would just be really difficult. It would be really difficult. And it would still require double agitator deco, and you'd still be missing one attack, and one health even. So I wouldn't recommend this build, but it's an option if you are... It's an option if you are under MR100. There are probably a couple ways you can optimize this build, in a couple different ways. But this is what I was able to come up with. Either way, the point of making this video was just to show that mix sets are an option in this game. They work for a very select handful of weapons, mostly just Nergigante weapons. And I mostly use mix sets for the Nergigante Greatsword, Nergigante Longsword, and whatever Nergigante weapons. They kind of look cool. It's up to you, whatever your preference is. I personally recommend the Nergigante Greatsword, but my Nergigante Greatsword mix set is going to be covered in a Greatsword video when we cover all the Greatsword videos. Okay, but if you enjoyed this video, if you found it even a little interesting, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, do all the things. If you have any questions, you want to see more builds, I pretty much make them on the fly on my Twitch channel. Follow me at Twitch, link will be in the description. I stream every single day there, so if you find me from YouTube, well, I'm usually live on Twitch. Chances are, if you're watching this video, I'm currently live on Twitch. So, follow me there. And we have got videos coming up from all the builds. And what you're seeing right now is kind of a preview of another build video I'll be doing, because, yeah, the Resident Evil event is out, and the 2 armor sets from it are actually really good. So, until next time, I will see you guys on YouTube, on Twitch, and good night. Wait, where's the off button? Oh, there it is. Bye.